It enabled Lord Van Zieks here to avenge his brother's senseless death with a marvellous victory in court. A marvellous victory, was it? I wonder if that's really true. What? Could the same be said if it turned out that the key piece of evidence in question was in fact fabricated? If the inspector, the coroner and the prosecutor all colluded together to cast an innocent Japanese man as a mass murderer and send him to his death? That's outrageous! And now, 10 years later, for some reason the secret has been threatened and needs protecting. Which is why the inspector and the coroner had to be silenced, didn't they? By someone in power in Japan and in Britain, using 2 killers to create the assassin exchange. No. The coroner's still alive, bitch. Order! Order! At once. "10 years ago, my father was convicted in this very courtroom as a mass murderer, to be sentenced to death. But it was all a sham, and I swore to myself I'd prove it, which is why I had to come to Britain, whatever the cost. You'll have to forgive me if I feel compelled to suspend your Nipponese tendency of purpose here. However, he who fails to quash his emotions in the courtroom has failed as a lawyer. Going off what I said earlier. Come on, Kazuma, you know this won't wash. You're claiming your father was misrepresented in a trial that took place a whole decade ago. You must see that with our evidence, and that's nothing more than an accusation. As it happens, I have evidence. What? As the court has heard, I crossed the channel to France with Gregson on the very first. I went with him on the pretext of being the assassin who killed Seisho Jigoku. But my true intentions were to make the inspector tell me the truth. What truth? The truth about the evidence. And he acknowledged what I'd already deduced. It was a closely guarded secret about what went on in that autopsy 10 years ago. What? A secret? I know nothing of any secret. I waited for my supposed mark in Jigoku's cabin. I threw my clan's illustrious sword carrier up before the inspector's eyes. He very quickly understood what my true motive was. Right, let's see. You're not Sogi's young lad, are you? What? You're gonna cut me down with that? Depending on the answers you give to my questions. I know what really happened 10 years ago. The truth, that's all. Before we get into it, let me make one thing clear. I still believe your father was a professor. There's no doubt in my mind. But unfortunately back then, we didn't have the evidence we needed to make the crime stick. So, you admit it then? The evidence used in my father's trial was fabricated? It was for the good of the country. Anyway, I was just following orders. Orders? What exactly did you do? Speak! I'm not saying another word. Even if your life depends on it? That's right. Even then. So that's when the tip of the sword broke. Oh, Kazuma-sama. If the results of Clint Von Zieks' autopsy was fabricated, and the investigating officer, Gregson, and lead coroner Wilson must have... Oh yeah, Wilson was a coroner at the time. Boom. And they can only have been ordered to prevent the cause of justice in that way by one man. The man leading the case of the prosecution, Baruch Von Zieks. In other words, the defendant did have cause to organise this exchange of assassins. Exactly, and as was established earlier, it has to have been the Reaper himself who liaised with Jigoku in Japan to arrange the exchange. Ah. So it follows that the Reaper's true identity can only be that of the man who stands accused in this courtroom today, Baruch von Zieks.
Objection!
Cosmo Sogi. What you've just told the court, are you absolutely certain of your facts? Did Gregson really fabricate evidence for that trial 10 years ago? I heard it with my own ears. His shameful admission. In that case, I know the name of the Reaper. What? Lord von Zieks? I gave no such orders. I know that for certain. Which narrows down the remaining possibilities to one. Lord von Zieks isn't the one behind all this. And yes, there was only one other person who could have done something like that. I believe I know who it is too. I just had a feeling this name was going to come up. And the true identity of the infamous Reaper of the Bailey is... Strongheart?
Take that!
The only person who could have arranged the assassination and manipulated the autopsy reports is Lord Chief Justice himself, Lord Miles Strongheart. What? Lord Strongheart? Yes, it's true that 10 years ago, the defendant handled the prosecution and professor in court. He only took over the case after his brother, Lord Clint von Zieks, had been killed. I can only assume that this is the most inappropriate joke in British judicial history. Well, Lord von Zieks, 10 years ago I was very new to my profession, but I had a burning desire to avenge my brother's death, so I pleaded for control of the case. The investigation to that point, the supplication of the Lord to allow my brother's corpse to be examined, all the evidence I was given, the autopsy reports, it all came from you. I spent my life since then believing I was in your debt for the way you stood aside and let me handle the trial. I see now, I was very much mistaken. It was a hugely influential force that caused the inspector and the coroner to break the law 10 years ago. And that same force was still found a decade later on the other side of the world, by Seisho Jigoku. Lord Strongheart, everything falls into place when we recognize that you are the Reaper of the Bailey. The court awaits your response, my lord. This may very well go down in British judicial history, but I assure you, it is no joke. Well, yeah, because if Strongheart's and Reaper, and that means both. Japan and England will need new judicial ministers. Consider this a formal accusal by the defense. It doesn't want a response. A formal accusal? Don't be absurd. The defense's claims are utter nonsense. A wild fantasy at best. You're not going to defend yourself? You claim there was some wrongdoing with Lord Clint von Zieks' autopsy? That's utterly untrue.
Objection!
But I heard it from Gregson's own lips. He admitted to it. And where is your evidence? What? Gregson's dead now, unless you were thinking of summoning a ghost to the stand. You mean to say? I forget how the system works in your little backwater country. Within the courts of the British Empire, without evidence, there is no case. I have no intention of entertaining some wild fantasy that can't possibly be substantiated by anyone or anything. Ugh. Order! Order in court! Following Inspector Jackson's murder and in light of Dr. Wilson's death as well, there's really no one left who could testify about the events of 10 years ago, is there? So that was the real purpose of the assassin exchange. This court has no business raking over the coals over a case that was concluded a decade ago. The accused are brought by the prosecution categorically denied. I take it now no objections. Kazuma has more or less waited his whole life for this moment. Is there really nothing else we can do now? Is there no other avenue we can go on and pursue the truth about what happened all those years ago? If only there was someone who could testify about Clint Van Zieks' autopsy. There is someone.
Objection!
Yeah, gory. Actually, there is one person. One person who could still testify about that autopsy. Don't be ridiculous, there's no one left. Who, Rinosuke? Who? Tell me! Kazuma, Please! This joke can't end! Not yet! Seems that he's regained his composure. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for the truth. The person in the defense would like to call to the stand to testify about the autopsy of Clint Van Zieks.
Take that!
Denied. What? I want to know why. Thought it was Ebi Mikotoba then.
Take that!
Heaven help us, another Japanese. An expert in forensic medicine, my lord. Professor Eugene Mikotoba, 16 years ago, came to London with Seisho Jigoku and Genshin Sogi as a visiting scientist. He was also the person who actually penned the report. Incorrect. The autopsy was carried out by the coroner, Dr. Wilson. The report carries his signature. It was the primary assistant's duty to keep a written record of the coroner's work during the procedure. In actual fact, the coroner merely read over the report at the end and signed it. In other words, Professor Mikotoba witnessed the entire autopsy from start to finish. And the defense demands that Professor Mikotoba be summoned as a witness as a matter of urgency. Whatever really happened in that autopsy laboratory 10 years ago is something only he can tell us. The defense's demand is denied. What? But Professor Mikotoba is in London at this very moment. We could summon him to the stand in minutes. No, of course he's not going to agree to it. Strongheart has no intention of summoning anyone who knows. He's too concerned about protecting himself. Prosecutor Sogi, let me refresh your memory as you seem to have forgotten the prosecution's stance. Only minutes ago, you accused the defendant of being the reaper and of masterminding the assassin exchange. I did, yes. So present your evidence for those claims and make your case complete. At this time, I don't have the requisite evidence, and that's exactly why we need witness testimony. Yeah, you can tell he's just trying to dodge the question at this point. Guilty! The professor case is closed. There are no clues in the distant past that would bolster your argument today. I'm afraid to say, Prosecutor Asogi, that you would appear to be possessed by the spirit of your late homicidal father. Now, as I stated earlier, this court has already reached a conclusion with respect to the matter at hand. Inspector Gregson was murdered by Japanese Supreme Court Judge Seisho Jigoku. As for any hidden circumstances that may exist, they will be investigated in due course by the proper authorities. But we all know what will happen. Now just give the mastermind of the whole venture time to cover his tracks again. By which you mean me? Your punishment for this contemptible behavior will be decided at a later date. As for you, Prosecutor Sogi, you'll be remanded following these proceedings. Willingly, I trust, since you gave your word. Ah! What a coward! This futile game of revenge is over, young Master Sogi. Ah! Ah! That will be all. I hereby declare this trial to be over. Court is... Mr. Sholmes! This is no place for amateur detection, Mr. Sholmes. May I remind you that these proceedings are closed to the general public. You will leave the court at once. Mr. Sholmes was instrumental in the apprehension of Seisho Jigoku before he fled from Europe. The court should hear what he has to say. Lord Miles Strongheart, it's imperative that you refrain from bringing this trial up to an end at this stage. Is it really? Why would that be? Because you are a coward, simple as. You need only recall your own words from the opening of the trial to answer that question, if I may. We will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Surely it can't be that the shock of being accused of being the Reaper yourself has erased that from your memory, can it? The whole truth, sir, has already been uncovered. It would seem that we have a great many important members of the judiciary present here today. I put it to you, my dear fellows, should the trial end at this juncture? After all, why have you been invited to attend? To nod along to the prevarications of your superiors? Order! Order in court! It seems to me that we stand before a door that leads to a new era of legal practices. A door that is ajar. Let's emerge from the shadows of the Reaper's decade-long ascendancy. For you and you alone, my dear fellows, have the power to push this door open now. The auditors in the gallery have no right to express an opinion on court proceedings. Silence! He's right, the judge has absolute authority here. Yes, if he calls the trial to an end, it must end. But will that really do? I sense dark things occurring behind the scenes. Dark things indeed. Is there a single person here? What? What? The trial should go on. Summon the witness. That's right. We need to clear this up before the young Japanese fellows remanded in custody. My lord, you assured me when I was present that you would uncover the whole truth here. Vindicate yourself on this outlandish accusation. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's the very foundation of British law. A toast to my dependable colleagues in the gallery. On with the trial! On with the trial! Testify! 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 Well, my lord, you hear the voice of British justice, I take it? I think you'll find it would be rather awkward to silence. Oh my god, just heard that they are actually chanting testify in the background. The court will recess briefly. I have no intention of shrinking from these allegations. Bailiff, arrange for the subpoena of the witness at once. As soon as the gentleman arrives at the courthouse, we shall reconvene. A recess won't be necessary, my lord. Pardon? Mikotoba is a close friend of mine. He accompanied me today and is waiting in the antechamber as we speak. I do believe he's been enjoying a little trip to Lane, in fact. Mr. Sholmes, you didn't notice what happened, did you? My dear fellow, no one is in a better position to answer that question than you, surely. I wasn't just asking for the fun of it, you know. The majority wanted to continue Strongheart. You deny the majority that? So you might as well just be holding up a sign saying, I'm guilty, arrest me now, remove me or my position. Well, I must thank you for your assistance in this matter, Mr. Sholmes. However, you have no further use, sir. Kindly leave the courtroom at once. But of course, in truth, I find myself rather busy now as a result of these developments. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? I trust you have Iris' little lucky charm with you. Absolutely. It's still in my pocket. She sends her regards, and a reminder, if you find yourself at... Of course! In that case, the trial will continue without delay. Bailiff, show the witness the stand. So it's Lord Strongheart. He is to be called the bailiff. Where exactly is this trial going to take me, I wonder? Just how deep am I about to be plunged into the blackness of the abyss? Well, I'm ready. I'm ready to head into the heart of this maelstrom and confront whatever horrors it tries to drown me under. Kind of funny because if you listen, because Miles Strongheart is basically Maelstrom. Hold on. I came back. Okay, so we've got Gory, Mikotoba, and Von Ziegler. So, witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Eugen Mikotoba, lecturer in forensic medicine at the Imperial Yume University in Tokyo. And Professor Mikotoba, the young lady beside you is? This is Dr. Maria Gory, Scotland Yard's practicing coroner, the daughter of Dr. Syph, I understand? Yes, Dr. Syph. I'm afraid I can't tell you why she's here. She just appeared. You summoned this strange Japanese man as a witness in our autopsy, but you don't summon Mama. That makes no sense. She was there too. That's about the size of it. I've had her eyes boring into the side of my cheek constantly, whilst I was in the antechamber too. Poor man, the idea of it's making me shudder. Revelations about Dr. Syph have come to light some days ago defiled the reputation of the entire judiciary. She is therefore deemed unfit to appear as a witness in today's proceedings. The Ministry of Justice's decision on that is final. Well, we wouldn't want any more perjury to be committed, would we? The Ministry of Justice? Some questionable strings being pulled, I think. I remember you, Dr. Mikotoba, but I certainly never expected to be meeting you under these circumstances. Yes, because now the one who's being accused here is you. Strongheart? Yes, it's been a while, Lord Strongheart. The prosecution understands that you were a visiting student of forensic science in London until 10 years ago? That's right, I studied under Dr. Wilson at St. Sinners. So you're present at the autopsy of my brother, Lord Clint Van Zieks? I was, yes. I assisted Dr. Wilson with the entire procedure. Mama is far more skilled than any Japanese man. Well, Dr. Wilson asked me to be his primary assistant on that occasion. And this autopsy report was actually penned by you, I believe? Yes. I noted all of the doctor's findings, and when we were done, he read through the document and signed it. Poor Mama, the secondary assistant, she wouldn't have had such a good view of all the inmates. So, Professor, do you remember Inspector Gregson? Good to see he's got his bearings back here at least. Seemed to me like the Cosmo of old was dead. Yes, of course. If it wasn't for his insistence, Lord Von Zieks' autopsy would never have happened. He was absolutely convinced that it would reveal decisive evidence against Genshin Ichi. So Lord Schoenheld had to entreat an ability to allow it to take place. Do correct me if I'm wrong, my lord. Of course, as a result of that autopsy, that mass murder was apprehended and justice was done. But Gregson admitted it before he was killed. He admitted that the results of the autopsy were fabricated. You were there at the time, so you must testify. You have an obligation to tell the truth about what really went on. Absolutely. That's precisely why I'm here. And that's why I'm here too. Okay, Lauren. You will give your formal testimony now, witness. But before you begin, a word of warning. Oh? You will state truthfully and accurately what you saw and what you heard at the time? Funny, not glare. What does it have to say? And if you say anything which implicates me, I will see to it that you never step foot on British soil again. I wouldn't dream of doing otherwise, my lord. The moment your testimony verges on supposition, I will expel you from my court. And it's funny how he automatically says that. Remember that. That's how you can tell he's worried about his secret being revealed. From my own observations, I couldn't say there was any indication of the autopsy results having been fabricated. That resulted from a wound made by a Western-style sword transfixed in the heart. That I found a little strange. There are no other signs of internal injury, nothing questionable at all. What? Other superficial external wounds indicative of a duel. Additional notes: recent scar ink stains visible on the little and ring fingers on the right hand, but no documenting corresponding ink was found. Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim as a way of posthumously identifying his assailant. No indication? Nothing to suggest fabrication? Professor Mikotoba, are you certain about that? Well, I have nothing that I can possibly identify as such, much less swear to in testimony. Yes, because as soon as you leak the details, Stronghow will get you kicked out. Well, that clears things up nicely. The only fabrication here, Sogi, has come from you. What? You claim the inspector confessed just before his death, but that is the fabrication. No, you freely acknowledge it, I swear he did. Freely, with the tip of a sword at his throat. The man was clearly at his wits' end. The court will give no credence to his confession that was uttered in obvious desperation. No, but they will yours, clearly. Quite simply, there was nothing questionable about the investigation of Lord Clint Von Zieks' death. Among this testimony we have, without question, uncovered the whole truth of the matter. Can someone give me a revolver so I can shoot this guy? If I may, my lord? There was most certainly something questionable about it, and the whole truth does rather elude it, I feel. Elude or something. I beg your pardon. Well, you're obviously aware of the facts of the case. All four of the professor's previous victims died when an enormous beast was set upon them and ripped out their throats. Oh, such horrifying crimes. But curiously, the killer's last victim, Lord Clint von Zieks, suffered a different fate. Yes, you're right. He was stabbed through the heart with a sword. That's enough. I believe I warned you about this, witness. I promised to curtail your testimony as soon as I entered the realms of supposition or speculation, or any sign of truth. Very well, my lord. In that case, the defense will pursue a conclusion to this during the cross-examination. What? I have the right to cross-examine every witness after testimony, and I fully intend to exercise that right. Ryunosuke, I'm afraid not even the presiding judge has no authority to contravene the letter of the law, as I'm sure every member of the judiciary present in the gallery would agree. Very well. You may begin, counsel. However, the moment your argument strays from the established facts, I will not hesitate to bring the cross-examination to an end. Proceed with caution. Yes, my lord. From my own observations, couldn't see there was any indication of the autopsy results having been fabricated.
Hold it!
You couldn't say? No, sadly not. But then you couldn't say there wasn't any indication either, could you? No, true, I couldn't. I was at Dr. Wilson's side as he performed the procedure, recording what he did. At times, of course, he instructed me to fetch implements and such like. Whilst I was away from the operating table, obviously I could miss something. And at those times, what was the secondary assistant doing? Following this Japanese man's orders for just the lighting of passing implements. That doesn't mean Mama wasn't a vital part of the team. Quite, yes. So, would you kindly refrain from staring at my cheek like that? Professor Mikotoba, think, was there nothing at all that seemed out of place to you? Well, yes, there was, as a matter of fact.
Objection!
Nope. Probably should have too, to be honest.
Hold it!
None of the previous four killings are attributed to the professor. The victims were killed by an enormous dog, I believe. Their throats were, well, mauled. Correct, and yet Lord von Zieks was stabbed. Ah, do you mean to have been one of the professor's victims? There is no basis on which to doubt the findings of the investigations carried out at the time. Genshin Asori confessed to all of his crimes upon his arrest. He admitted to having taken lives of all 5 members of the aristocracy. Ah. Yet the beast that was used to carry out the killings was never identified. No evidence was found to suggest that Genshin had ever kept a dog. A true hand of hell. Nothing questionable at all. Oh wait, no, those were external wounds, so they were fine. But, you weren't actually present at the autopsy yourself, were you, Dr. Gory? Does that matter? Well, I, just just wonder how useful your testimony can be in that case, really. I mean, it would be different if your mother, Dr. Scythe, would understand, but... I've read all the paperwork about the case, and Mom has told me the story countless times. The thing I just made is exactly what's written on the autopsy report. I did confirm that myself at the time, it's true. Besides the stab wound, there's no other signs of internal trauma. I see. Mama told me all about it. Oh? She said there was nothing of note internally. But they did find an amazing piece of evidence, something unbelievable. Unbelievable? What do you mean? Come on, Dr. Gory, what was it?
Hold it!
What exactly was it then? What does that beautiful but dangerous mean? Well, it was sparkling round with a hole, as if it might slip over a finger perhaps. It was a ring, belonging to Genshin Asogi. My father's ring? Was inside the victim's stomach? At the time, Genshin wore a large ring on Digitus quarters of his left hand, the fourth or ring finger. I understood it was some sort of keepsake. When my father left Japan for London 16 years ago, I was 8 years old. I remember that ring. You do? My father's possessions were sent to our family home in Japan after his death, but the ring wasn't among them. Obviously not. It was a key piece of evidence. It remains under lock and key in the stores at Scotland Yard to this day. After the autopsy, Genshin was summoned by the police to check for the presence of his ring. It wasn't on his hand, of course. Moreover, there were deep abrasions on his finger that had been pulled off. They arrested the man there and then, right before my eyes. How could they? I brought the ring along with me today. What? Here it is. A bit dusty from years in the stores. Good gracious, yes, that's it. I haven't seen that in 10 long years. And that was found inside the victim's stomach? Yes, I'm afraid so. You hesitated there, Professor Mikatova. Should we read something into that? Well, it's just that thinking back now. I didn't actually witness the moment it was extracted from the victim's body. Oh right, really? At that precise moment, Dr. Wilson had asked me to fetch me a new scalpel, you see. Dr. Gory, the removal of historic evidence from the stores requires my consent, does it not? Well, not when you've been put a question. Because by establishing the fact that the autopsy was fabricated, pretty much putting you in the frame, which means that any control you have is removed until after the trial, if I remember correctly. If you're found guilty, you'll be permanently stripped of the rules and sent to jail. It's not sort of ring normally seen in Japan. It almost looks like claws protecting that jewel. You must examine it very carefully, Miss Naruhodo. Very carefully indeed. Wait, not present. Examine. These fat claws are doing a good job of protecting the equally fat gemstone in the middle of this ring. Yes, if you're clumsy, you can give yourself a rather nasty cut, I might think. Ow! Oh, my finger's bleeding. The claws really are sharp. Oh my, that was very quick clumsiness, Miss Naruhodo. What for you? You would make such a dangerous ring. You couldn't spoil it without doing yourself some very serious damage, sure. Are there any... Okay, now we've got new evidence. Save it. That's everything, is it? Poor father, he looks so troubled. Perhaps because 10 years ago, something happened that's been weighing on his mind. Oh, I couldn't say words to words. That phrasing was very deliberate, I'm sure. I wonder if he's had his suspicions all these years. If that's the case, we need to use this cross-examination to prove what really happened, and remove any trace of doubt.
Objection! Hold it! Objection! Objection!
Objection!
Objection! Objection! Objection!
Objection!
Objection! does this all mean? Excuse me! Objection!